Welcome to our lovely future humans and all of those who use mindful mindset for personal development, spiritual growth, well-being, resiliency. So you know about these communication skills, whether you've been doing them with our free or paid subscriber content or on your own. I've noticed a lot of people who are in the habit of knowing themselves, so the path to self-discovery, do know how to do mindfulness and meditation, even without using the words, and that's why mindfulness and meditation, we integrate them in general into our silent bodies. So wisdom, the wisdom that comes from being attachment trauma educated. Let me find, I was reading to something. Here it is. It is the word of wisdom that diffuses conflict and provides clarity, but it is alongside the understanding and integration of the knowledge. And so clarity can only come when you, one, know we all have a nervous system, and if it's in connection, awesome, because that's when you're going to be using the healthy version of anything, of love and or shame, of self-righteousness. I don't use it, and the word has a negative connotation, but I can understand how someone can use it differently than me. That's why we use the inner growth mindful mindset practices with stories, and also with the capacity to know how anger is one of the most amazing of emotions when you're a master of it. As a Christian Catholic who's a mystic, I'm not an angry Buddhist. And when I heard about the angry Buddhist thing from my somatic therapist, I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. And the ones who wanted instead to stay in their sympathetic said, oh, so we have to stay modulated, because they think that fighting means that you have to be an immature, emotionally speaking, angry. Yes, I know, right? And that's why when we talked yesterday about self-righteousness, the energy is often learned and is the reserve of childhood pain. So I'm going to let you know that when it comes to talking about anything, I'm open to a variety of explorations, but I do have my personal subjective opinion. It's just that because I'm grounded in reality, I know that it's not only my way. And also because you meet people who do things differently, and because they will have learned from their own self-righteousness, so they will have expanded themselves from it, they will then have a healthy way of telling you, I got a body in connection too, and here's how I use these things that you told me about in your way, because you actually have a different experience, and so that's why we expand. And that's why our human species evolves, and that's what makes it amazing to have social time. For the ones of us who are confident. For the ones who are self-righteous in a lack of confidence, they don't actually make friends with all people. And then they don't like talking about all of it with neutrality. They will have a very specific tone, which is where the contempt and self-righteousness from parent to child, and they will in fact tell you that they are the reason that you can connect to God, Source, Akash, or heal. So anyone who comes across as a person who tells you that you need them to expand, no, you don't need anyone, as I shared on our TikTok live, except for you, yourself, and then take yourself to good therapists, and then continue on your own if you want. You don't need me. You have your direct relationship with God. Once you have your integrated brain, you're using your prefrontal cortex, and you will continue to have downloads and channeling, but you won't be suffering that which is a small emotional, mental, energy body, all of it, because that's what people who are in our 4D, alert, 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 they continue to have small energy as they're not doing anything about getting their inner child reparented. So they don't learn how to use the body in a connection, and their body in protection is tiring them out. So they don't do well-being. They can talk to me about mindfulness all day long. I'll notice. How do you wake up in the morning? Dark night is still, Maria. Ego death. Dark night is still, Maria. Ego death. Okay. Wow. There's Lucifer. There's demons. There's energy vampires. There's entities. We're in a war. Where's that? Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. You know, I know that you think secure attachment is boring, but really, I think that you're in the drama king, drama queen group who does not want the therapist. So you're not really making the most of mindfulness or wisdom, or shame or love or anything. Path to self-discovery isn't going well either. So that's how it is when you see people who don't know how to make the best of their ventral vagal state, because they don't want to though. So the ones who do want to, we know that their journey can take years and years and years, but like Dr. Amy Apijan points out, they will be able to continue healing, and that's because of the good therapists. So we do know that all people who care to be the solution to trauma know that we all have trauma charges, but then we're going to raise children, as we already are doing, with the third attunement, repairing ruptures. We don't shame them in the way of let me, but we can use the word. We don't tell them be self-righteous. We can use words, okay? So we're going to look at all these other words, by the way, and emotions with our paid subscriber content. So right now we're doing anger, but eventually I want to do an exercise with the word shame. Although again, it's not going to be from a defectiveness shame. It's going to be with like a definition from the dictionary, and then you can explore those emotions that come up, images that come up. So it's actually not, again, related to the childhood trauma shame. And that's why it's sad to see those who don't understand what compassion is. Because as Patrick Tian points out, the problem with being self-righteous is that it feels good at the moment because people take that control and they have what they think is the upper hand, but they don't, because the teenager is blinded. And so they will be in a mood, but they're also in the certainty of anger. And they're also really not present with you. They're playing out a childhood 0-8-year-old. And so they're playing out something that is not really meant for you. Okay, so it's not good, bad, to be saluted. This human being is nothing except for another one of the fun stories I have to share with you. That's it. And I was very much proud with who I am and what I did. And I don't need to feel proud in that I'm pride. Pride is a sin, right? But see, this is the part of why you don't just put a word and it's black and white. No, we don't take context out of it. At the same time, those who need to draw up, the only thing that needs to be that specific are laws. As for academia, the smart ones have the consilience approach. And when we meet the dry and boring, sticks up their asses people, we just know that everyone provides golden nuggets in research. So it's kind of like the lone wolf in a company. They'll only be kept around because they're that big of a genius. And so it's basically, I'll put up with you because we need your intelligence, but not because anyone is needed for you to connect to God or source. No, you're actually a part of it. In fact, once you overflow in your humanity, as Sadhguru points out, divinity descends. That means once you're an integrated brain, your body's connected, you're pure consciousness, which we talked about also yesterday. So the way showers of love, yes, we know that shame can be used in a healthy way by those who had it, and they get out of it. And that's when they're going to be brave boys, girls, and days, because they say, you can't speak to me like that inside. In the forefront, they're like, I'm practicing my lovely patience. Let me breathe some more. Let me think of rosy cheeks. I don't know. Let me 5 activities to distract yourself from idiots in front of you. And then it's distracting, but it's also processing. And then it's remembering the human element. So we don't dehumanize because we got triggered. Childhood trauma survivor Patrick Tian, he shares when people don't heal their stuff that got broke from home, they dehumanize people. When they're triggered, they dehumanize people. Those people become the very disrespectful household members. Emotionally immature people. How dare you? They project. If Bill looks at me one more time, thanks Patrick Jan for the example, I'm going to beat him up. So anybody who thinks that's emotion, no, that's emotional, immature anger with a childhood pain. You're not becoming more amazing by the minute. You're just becoming a buffoon by the minute, because as they get older, they completely, and you're like, wow, that's actually not something, yeah. So they feel good at the moment because they have control in their illusionary mind and upper hand, but they don't have intimacy or kindness, the intimacy or kindness they were born with. So with that being said, when you are, again, self-led, the path to self-discovery will be with mindfulness and wisdom, with love. When you will have had shame, if you were shamed and therefore began unfortunate business with a body that was protecting itself from human beings, and so you were not really great with social time as you use your own self-worth and love yourself first and completely dissolve shame. That's why the stories from lovely Sadhguru, they're all pointing to when people have dissolved shame. So they always go disappear some mountain somewhere, and now I understand why. That's why Buddha makes fun of me. And I say, Buddha, you know, not all of them use suffering to expand themselves. So I'm making fun of the ones who are actually not learning to do what you were leaving them. And so, you know, it is not because I'm making fun of you. Always do the best you can for whoever is around you, because tomorrow either they may be gone or you may be gone. Only when you are in absolute tune with existence do you know it the way it is. Otherwise, you know it the way your mind interprets it. These are Sadhguru's quotes. We also have our lovely Ron Siegel, as he shares, telling ourselves that we should be nicer to ourselves doesn't seem to help. It's only once we can connect with the inner hurt that it gets better. So it's once you're a healed, self-led person who is integrated bilaterally, vertically, and overall. That's why our future humans, and that's why the way showers are here. We don't use the low emotional, mature, immature charge of people who have childhood trauma that they haven't healed. It's very disrespectful to their own self, not to us. So when you see the ones who don't know why compassion beyond a shadow of a doubt is what dissolves a compulsive thief, and they think, no, you need to punish. How dare you talk about not punishing, Maria? So I have had a bunch of different conversations throughout my lifetime, and one of which where I said I don't judge, and the human being thought I said no incarceration. I said none of that. I said I don't judge because I don't cast a stone. So when people want to play God, I already know who God is. He wins, and he told me a long time ago not to play the know-it-all. And so I don't. I leave it alone. But you better bet that I'll notice the ego of an insecure human being who, because they're in the presence of a person who has no self-doubt, not even a little bit, there's nothing. You ask me a question about Maria, I'll answer you. I have opinions. That's why people say you judge. No, I have opinions. They're strong. Yeah, but they're mine. They're not yours. I'm grounded in reality. I know flexibility. I know what it means to have a subjective experience and to have never walked one day in your shoes. And yet everyone seems to think that I can't be love. And because I cry that I must have suffered. Really, I don't understand. Oh, no, I do understand. When you deal with trauma victims, their nervous system is a neuroceptive state that has great advantages in detecting a predator, but is totally compromised in being social. Also, what you will want to know, lovely Dr. Daniel Fox, as he shares this very interesting data point, and he's not the only one. Imagine trusting someone less when they are kind to you. Imagine someone treating their relationships like battles because they have to have the upper up. Imagine someone misinterpreting neutral signals and situations for hostile situations and negative. Imagine someone seeing a smile and continuously thinking of it as not a true smile. Imagine someone feeling more comfortable in chaos than when everything is going well, which is why they call secure attachment boring, the attachment coaches. And so when you see mystics who are self-righteous or spiritual or mindful, the ones who think that it's because of them that you're going to get anywhere, that's an ego that needs a actual position because they are consistently performing and under threat of replacement. It's really hard work to keep a relationship. No, it's not. Actually, not really. It's really that easy. Because I might die tomorrow and you just made it sound like, what the heck is that? That's not a relationship. But I got loved for who I am. I didn't work one day of anything for me and my mom. And then I got to be angry and sad and afraid. All of it. But the angry one, she never shamed me for it. I still get into my trauma time with her because I'm Maria. So that's why self-discovery, like Robert Maniscalco, I think his name's Robert. He's like, yeah, you tell my dad, I'm going to go find myself. I found you right here because the kid's going to Europe. He's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure we all don't need to go on a vacation, but still, it's okay. Compassion, kindness, empathy, they are the soft skills that matter in leadership. Thank you, Gary V. I'm paraphrasing. And then we have Bezel van der Kolk. The only way we can change the way we feel is by becoming aware of our inner experience and learning to befriend what is going on inside ourselves. So when you are finally a person who is in the body in connection, and some people, if you're new, you might not know, there's a lovely lady, her name is Dr. Amy Apigian, the Biology of Trauma podcast. She has a video on why am I not getting better, why you're still in survival mode, even years after therapy and healing work. And so the mindset exercises, readings, and spotlights for the paid subscribers, those are for people who, again, use mindful mindset for personal development, spiritual growth, well-being, and resiliency because you have communication skills for inner growth. So you can use love always, and even if you have expanded from shame, again, the word in and of itself is not something you feel. You don't feel shame and defectiveness. You may use societal shame, but really what you're saying is you want to say right and wrong, that's something straightforward. But shame has a negative connotation for those of us who know what shame is for the inner child that has been broken, but is fixable with good therapy. Okay, so the people who are supporting that which is true healing of trauma, we say yes to all modern day therapists, and we say it's so sad for the ones who don't want to actually honor themselves, and therefore they've chosen to actually completely not only abandon their body, mind, brain, and so don't address any of the trauma and connect, but they also want to stay, they want to tell us good manners. You'd like to teach me, is that virtue or integrity that's coming out of your mouth? Yeah, I don't think so, because the minute you call any of my brothers or sisters evil, Knievel, medieval with Lucifer, I'm going to be like, there ain't no Lucifer. Evil, there's Michael Stone, forensic criminologist scale, yes. Brothers and sisters, I love them all to death. I'm a child of God who got taught not to cast a stone by Jesus, and who did unconditionally, lovingly promise said Guru that I would love all. But I had already promised the Holy Spirit, God, and Jesus, and I'm of spirit. So I don't need to prove it. That's where the spiritual people who are spiritual masters, gurus, enlightened ones, as we were discussing, they will know that you don't judge anyone, like Dr. Daniel Fox informs you. When you're hanging around healthy self-worth people, they'll point out your maladaptive patterns, drinking, drugging, fucking, inner outer critic, bunch of bullshit, suffering shit. And it's shit to me because I didn't do the temporal junction. I did, okay, let's see. Good intentions are not enough. It takes the right action performed with the right consciousness to produce necessary results. Thank you, Sadhguru. So, yes, if you work and on who you are and you become the person you want to be, thank you, Ron Siegel, when we're talking about acceptance, it is very important to talk about the difference between accepting an experience as it is arising in our own body and endorsing a certain kind of behavior. So when people endorse their self-righteousness and they want to tell you they know everything and it's thanks to their facts and they're this and they're that, and that it is only one of the other side, okay, that's a person who lacks the not only awareness, accountability, regulation, but also you're not taking an exam, so it really shouldn't be that hard for you to have a social time. But two, you are not the know-it-all of anything, especially not topics with God, source, Akash, infinity, just because you have, 20, 30, 50 books? Do you bring me the books from it? You don't know that tomorrow is going to be different. You don't think it's happening. I'm going to say that we have a performer in the house. You have an image, don't you? Which words are your image? What are you dressing up as? Which ones are your books? So are you that rigid? Is that your little, did you create a castle around yourself with it? Great. Now keep building one. There you go. Have a good time. Black and white thinker who doesn't know how to use the embodied brain because you chose to not notice how you are choosing to be very, very much in the straitjacket of the left brain. It's not only logic. It's really not logic at all. It's A and B can touch. No, your brain can't fall out of your asshole if you enjoy reading because you're curious. And really, if you don't know that the flat earthers exist because science allows questioning to happen and that we're not afraid of the future because, again, nobody is playing God. We know who God is, and he doesn't make mistakes. And there's no mistake. There's no demons inside of anyone. See, we are in Dharma time right now. So when people talked about Judgment Day, and they do so in a way of making it sound very philosophical and they have shared fantasies and pseudo-aliveness, it's called. They're living out a movie, like Patrick Dan pointed out. The most dangerous players are the ones who are living it out. And when you find out what pseudo-aliveness and people who are adaptive child part people, shame, blame, fault, revenge, they're karma wheels. Because they have not metabolized that which was their implicit memory from the first 3 years of life. Their first 8 years count a whole bunch. They didn't get to learn to regulate in their ventral vagal state and their dysregulated nervous system. They want superheroes and supervillains because that's the only way they're motivated. So they need to be needed in a very, very significant way. If they're not needed, somehow they lose complete. Yeah, actually, who was it that I was talking to about this? And I said, what you're describing to me feels a lot more like you're able at this point to be free. Oh, I remember now who it is, a friend of mine. And I understood they're lost now because they're no longer needed, but they decided to remove themselves from the position. And therefore, they are now going to be obligated. In fact, this is a masculine's situation. Empowered feminines, we don't lose ourselves because we have a sense of self. I own Maria. And then my empowered masculine is my integrated brain. Okay, so when you have a masculine, it's the left brain alone, which is why they're a non-bilaterally integrated brain. Now, if they have emotional awareness, then that's great. They're going to use mindful mindset. And so whether it's love or shame, they're coming in, the path to self-discovery, they're going to be great. They're going to be growing great. Your body feels less tired, FYI. Body in connection. So that's part of the spiritual masters, enlightened ones, and gurus, and anyone who wants to say prophecy from the prefrontal cortex. Obviously, the ones from yesterday's news with their self-righteous buttholes, again, smart people notice it. We did a couple episodes I did on that. Narratives are only strong for children. I don't follow Wendy or Peter Pan around in the Jungle Boy with the jungle monkey. I'm just like, yeah, I met a bunch of them everywhere. I thought that they would all grow up to become their true self. Instead, I find them behaving in ways that I did not notice. Ghoul, darkness, Rue, dispeller, dispel darkness. Yes, thank you, Dr. Amy Apijan, the Biology of Trauma podcast. Neuroception is what determines our response to everything in any moment of our life. It's based not on reality. It is not based on reality. I mean, the world is not about what feels right, what is right. Okay, then it is based on one's perception. Where does it come from? Well, sensations, images, behaviors, affects, meanings, and you don't know how to handle your 3-year-old. Oh, you're so cute. So, again, not cute, no, but it's not willpower or motivation. It's the body's nervous system scanning, am I safe or not? Mine doesn't do that. The future humans have a default mode network. They're already here, the way showers of love. It's down-regulated, so the way showers that are coming out and saying healthy shame, okay, they're a whole other group. I talk about love, but I like to remind myself to be aware that there's always two sides to every coin. We have a healthy way of doing anything and an unhealthy way. The healthy way, it begins with the somatic narrative. So one, body, mind, brain, alignment, self, heart, whole self. You own the sense of self. Now that that's happening, you like to use mindful mindset practices. And when someone pisses the fuck off of you, you don't do anything. You learn to harness anger, you do something. It's just you don't project it. And actually, it's a really fun practice to be able to know that no trauma therapy is complete without really addressing brain, mind, and body, and really connecting all three. Thank you, Ruthlanius. So it's once people have harnessed shifting into their ventral vagal state that they'll have fun here, and that they'll know spiritual masters for who they are, and they will also know that it's okay. Dharma is here. It's because of the therapist all helping anyone whose body's already getting themselves back home to the true self, the kingdom of God. So, you know what's beautiful about knowing, thank you, Jesus, that the kingdom of God is within every brother and sister, and that there's no Lucifer demons, is that everyone, like I told God, is saved. Except for the ones who think they still need to save everybody else and that they're needed. Those are self-righteous childhood pain points, and they are not needed because God is automatically going to be with all of you. The ways to God, again, 9 different spiritual authors. We all still, through the heart and through being ourselves, have a journey. And so you get to know your journey, and then what you will also know is to unconditionally love others, because that's the point of why we're higher human infinite consciousness and humans from the future, because it's not mediocre, it's not average. No, it's like compassion to the umph degree. It's like the Zen master story that I read. I read this one in our lovely TikTok live today, so you will know of it, unless you don't. Do you? Let me think. Let's see if I can read part of it for you and then let you go. So the story is that there's a Zen master who notices a commotion amongst his disciples and asks them what happens, and they present him a compulsive thief. And he says to them that they need to forgive the compulsive thief, and they say, we won't. They've thieved many times. We want you to kick them out. We only forgave him because of you. Basically, they're saying, we did it only because you told us to, but we don't want to anymore. And if you don't send him away, we're going to leave. So they threatened the Zen master. And he says, I have no intention of sending them away, even if you all leave. And so the disciple that thieved, he broke down at the master's feet. And that's where dissolving shame is that. When a person knows what a somatic empath is, I've learned this from the good therapist, and why an integrated brain and a safe haven, secure-based person. So when I will accept respect and talk to you even if I don't welcome you, it doesn't matter. They will perceive that they've been seen because I don't actually disrespect you, because I'm not in a low frequency of self-righteousness where I think you're doing something wrong, because you're not. And I don't feel you're doing something wrong because I'm confident and because you're not a physical threat. I have no need for my sympathetic nervous system in the presence of a human being who's emotionally immature. I'm in my higher self with the awareness of how to explain it to you. And women who say you could get in his face, no, I'm not a rude person. Women who say you can let him get away with it, no, I don't give anybody a pass either. I don't need to do either. Or they're both ill-placed, kind of like Goldilocks, who goes to, this is, this is hot, this is cold, this is perfect. The men say, you didn't say it right. I say, okay, I didn't say anything at all. I actually learned from you all to commit to being a bitch. And so, I mean, but really, thanks for the, you could say it differently. It helps me to play with words because, I get to actually try to play with words when people tell me that I said it wrong. And then I say, I do use words wrong. So for all I know, I use the word the exact wrong way. And so anyways, the explanation of the story is that a human being may have the strength to face any kind of punishment given to them, but they will be defeated by men's compassion. And as the therapists point out, when a person is welcomed, a somatic empath will welcome the parts of another person. If they welcome those parts back with their awareness of what they are, not just random. No, I'm a person. I have a 0-1-year-old, attached panic, 3-7, shame submissive, freeze of all ages, flight 11-12, fight 14-15-16. It's with welcoming. That's how you integrate. Otherwise, you ain't integrating. You're going to just do a story, which is why you got a bunch of storytellers out there. So I know when someone is actually expanding and when someone's just doing the story dance because they haven't actually committed to their physiology as a human being with child parts. And they want to give me some story. So they're not going to welcome their parts back. And it's not fragmented. It's just they're not going to grow up. So I get to hang out with a bunch of pretenders because that's what my facade friend is. Anybody who does not heal their abandonment wounds, who does not heal their shame wounds, who does not become self-led in the I'm an emotionally mature, mentally mature, physically mature. I don't need to get in anybody's face. If I have no physical threat, I don't need to make a ruckus anywhere. That's how you teach good manners to children. And you teach them that it's barbaric to use hands and to raise your voice and to shame. Barbaric. Is that good? Good. Barbaric. I'll use it. But our barbaric ancestors, they didn't have manners and they didn't have therapists or smarts. They didn't go to school. They didn't go to college. They didn't go to high school. Oh, wait, is that? So this is where it's not about the words. It's the mammalian heritage. I have 2 stories for you. We have 2 poor families. Very, very poor. Poor where they have no food. One family allows their children to fight for meat. These are human beings. These are real stories. 5, 6 of them, they have their children fighting for it. One family, they say, we have this, we're splitting it equally, and that is how you teach manners to children. This is how you teach a person to continue with transgenerational trauma, and our ancestors already existed. Now, I do know some people don't take their children to doctors, because apparently that means they believe in God more than those of us who know science and intelligence. And then I find out that they make up stories of Adam and Eve. I still treat it like a child. How dare you lie to me? You're not anything except for liars. And I don't care about the bullshit conspiracies because I have a master's degree in international relations and diplomacy. And I'm grounded in reality. Which means that I, like Bill Nye, will say, sure, Matrix. No, I know who God is. I don't talk about the Matrix. I know what source is. I don't need to be making up some fictitious video game on the entire planet. 4th wave of twin flames. Wow, that's how disrespectful they are to me, to the entire oversoul of yours. The minute they began to do this whole little dance of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 with twin flames, I'm like, are you kidding me, right? The minute they flip the switch on it, there's a fake one, there's a real one, there's a this one. Oh, you're not getting what you want. I see. So you're changing up the story every time it doesn't go the way you want, and somebody's going to follow the monkey around. There's your, oh, hey, Peter Pan, you having a new group? Is that one? Oh, look. That's what happens when you see people who are not discovering themselves. They don't know mindfulness meditation, and they definitely don't know how to love or how shame can bring the best out of people. But enough about that. I didn't mean to go into storytelling time. We have a bunch of episodes for you to tune into, and we will be back with more. Every person counts, of course, and every person is a person who's walked their own life. But None of us are needed for anyone to connect to God. The part that you're connected, if you do believe, is because you are, and if you don't believe, then this is the part of dark matter, dark energy. Anyone can become a restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating person, because that's what I'm learning from the smart therapist. And that's where, if it's challenging, there's ways to help people who have a different type of way their embodied brain works, and that's with the smart therapist. So we will be back with this topic with more. In the meantime, thanks for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe. It will help the channel grow, and you can become a paid subscriber if you want some more additions to your lovely mindful mindset communication skills with exercises, readings, and spotlights. And it is for spiritual and personal growth, well-being, and resiliency. Please be honest. Your body's in connection, right? And that's great. You like to be in connection. And if there's any challenge with that, Dr. Amy Apijan, she's really great for that. So you might want to check her out. And Patrick Tian for childhood trauma, and Terry Real for great couples work, and a lot more. And again, John Amaichi, only a fool believes that success achieved alone is real. And if you hear me say again a lot, is because my regular listeners, they hear a lot of repeat between lovely stories and sentences, and I'm just in the habit because I'm building a community of people. And I know of some of the things that I repeat again and again and again. And it's because they fall within the theme of our lovely topics. But also repetition supports people to have moments to hear it again and in different circumstance. And I'm sure a half-a-brained person would be like, you know what they're doing? They're trying to manipulate. Everyone manipulates, by the way. But it's the intent that you can't prove. In the meantime, I have no envy, jealousy, spite, or revenge, because I love all my brothers and sisters equally. They're all children, and luckily for me, God says that I'm physically safe. So I think it's true, and hopefully I'll be back tomorrow, because again, I love being here to inspire you, to inspire each other, to be your true selves, and then to keep coming back for more, and then to keep on expanding our lovely love and no, I was gonna sing a song. This is the second time it comes into my mind. It's because it's a cute tune, but it's like that's not part of this one. Okay, so good intentions again are not enough. It takes the right action performed with the right consciousness to produce the necessary results. Integrated brains, bodies, and connections, and that's where love comes into the mix. So you have a path to self-discovery, and that's why mindfulness and that which is meditation and mindset and personal discovery support, spiritual growth happens. And I was going to say something else, but I forgot. So thanks for stopping by.